This is the All One Nurse podcast, where we are bridging the gap between the stethoscope and the soul and getting back to the human side of healthcare.
Powered by Riverside.
Welcome back to the All One Nurse podcast, where we're bridging the gap between the stethoscope and the soul and getting back to the human side of healthcare through mentorship and personal and professional growth. I'm your host, Shenell Thompkins, and today marks a special milestone, the launch of season 3. This season features a phenomenal group of nurses who are sharing their knowledge, their stories, and practical advice. So make sure you're subscribed and share this episode with a fellow nurse, student, or anyone who believes that healthcare begins with humanity. And in this episode today, we're diving into the world of geriatric nursing with a true leader in the field, Chayce Foster, was an RN, advanced nurse practitioner, and certified family nurse practitioner with a heart for advocacy, patient advocacy, and a mind sharpened by evidence-based practices. Chayce is on a mission to educate, empower, and elevate healthcare for elders and underserved communities alike. From clinical excellence to compassionate care, she blends science with heart to guide patients through every stage of their health journey. And if you're ready to rethink what healthcare should be, get inspired and informed today because this episode is for you. Of course, we're going to dive into Chayce's professional journey, her personal insights, patient perspective, and educational insights. But first, don't forget, click that subscribe button and share this episode with a few friends. Whether you're a nursing student, a nurse, or just curious about healthcare, again, this episode is for you. And as my subscribers grow, the podcast grows. And honestly, I truly thank you for your support. Let's dive right into it.
Okay.
Hey, Chayce, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing good. Thank you for being on the All One Nurse podcast.
Yes. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so you'll be actually opening up season 3. So I'm so excited.
Cool.
Yes.
That's so exciting.
Yes, ma'am. Now, just to give my listeners or viewers a little background, I looked back and I met you actually in January of 2019, starting your
Wow.
I was doing your gerontology practicum, and I got to meet you then. And so now, just fast forwarding like years later, we get to meet on this end, and you actually went on to become an advanced nurse practitioner. So welcome,
Yes.
welcome. We're going to dive into your professional journey, personal insights, your patient perspective, and your educational insights. But I am so excited because we get to just really learn about you and all that you do. So just starting out with all my guests, as always, tell us, who are you and how did you end up in nursing?
So, like you said, I'm Chayce. I'm from Memphis. I was born and raised in Memphis all my life. Graduated from a school in East Memphis, and then I was unsure where I wanted to go to college, but I ultimately ended up going to the University of Memphis. It's like a family tradition. My granddad went there, my mom, she went there, and then I went to the University of Memphis. Wow. Yes. I'm big into sports. I've always been involved in a lot of extracurricular things, ranging from volleyball. I cheered at the University of Memphis, dance, gymnastics. So super competitive spirit. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's also played a huge role in my professional career, with always wanting to strive to be the best that I can, because that was instilled in me at a very young age.
That is awesome. Awesome. So you went to University of Memphis, where I met you at, and I can
Yes.
remember I even wrote a reference letter for you.
Yes, I saw it.
Yes. It just made me smile because I don't vouch for just anyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like putting your name on it saying, hey, this
Right.
person is going to do what I said that they're capable of doing. But one thing I
Mhm.
remember doing your clinicals with me is that you were very professional. You were on time. You were positive. All the things that were expected. Like you met that standard
Thank
of
you.
being a good student. So I just remember that about you alone.
Thank you.
Yes. And so with going through your BSN,
Mhm.
once you got your BSN, how long did it take you to go back to school to become an advanced nurse practitioner?
About 2 years. I
Okay.
worked about 2 years. I worked as an L&D nurse for about 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
Wasn't the best specialty for me. I'm glad I got that experience. I've heard that with L&D, you either fall in love with it or you're like, hey, this isn't for me. And I was on the hey, this isn't for me end.
That's good.
So yeah, so I switched to another floor. It was
Mhm.
like a med surg GYN floor, kind of
Okay.
like your hospital. If there's nowhere for them to go, they're going there. We had a
Okay.
lot of post-op patients. We would get moms whose babies had gone to the NICU, the patients that weren't able to go to mother baby. We had a lot of cancer patients, just kind of a mix of patients, which I felt was really good for me. I think that wasn't my original plan, but it ended up working out because it helped prepare me a little bit better for nurse practitioner school. Excuse me, because I went the family route. So I was able to see a little bit more of a wide range of things than I probably would have been able to see on labor and delivery. Going in, like I said, that wasn't my original plan, but I feel like it
Mhm.
ended up working out. And I really enjoyed my time on that floor. I even worked there while I was still working as a nurse practitioner for about a year. As a PRN nurse, I would work about a couple of times a month just to be able to stay there because I really did enjoy being on that floor.
That's awesome. Because I was about to
Yes.
ask, how did you end up from L&D to like geriatric?
Yeah.
But I love it because just listening to you, it's a journey. I tell
Mhm.
anyone when you're coming out of nursing school, yes, you know where you have an idea of what you want to do, and then you
Mhm.
get there and you realize this is not really what I want.
Right.
Sometimes you find that out in nursing school during
Right.
clinicals, but I'm so glad that you mentioned that and that you give voice to that. Hey, it's not what I had planned, but
Mhm.
it worked out as part of my journey. So that's
Right.
awesome. That's awesome. Now, with APN, what was some of your challenges coming through?
Coming through school, the main challenge I would say, and I've talked about this a little bit before with other people in nursing school, that was my whole life. I was a student. But as
Mhm.
a nurse practitioner student, I had more of a life. I was trying to still work, had more family obligations. I had more bills that I had to pay. So it was just a lot going on at that time. So I think that's one of the main challenges that people face when they're in nurse practitioner school. The schooling is still difficult, but it's not overall as difficult, I would say, as becoming a registered nurse, but you just have to learn how to juggle everything. Because typically a lot of students have a lot going on. I personally did not have kids, or I do not have kids in school, but a lot of my classmates had kids. I had a classmate that had a newborn baby. So you see
Oh,
a lot
wow.
of people in school in many different stages of life. So just learning how to balance everything, that was a challenge. And then just it's a whole new growth curve. As a nurse, you're learning how to mainly figure out when something is going wrong. And as a nurse practitioner, you are trying to figure out when something's going wrong and, okay, what am I going to do about this? As a nurse, you have interventions that you do when things are wrong, but ultimately, as a provider, you're the main one that's going to come in and make the orders and decide what needs to be done.
That's good.
Yes.
Now, with you coming through nursing school, because you came through nursing school right out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So you went straight into getting your advanced nurse practitioner
Yes.
certification, kind of, sort of, at a young
Mm-hmm.
age. What advice do you have for other new nurses who their goal is to get where you are? How do you encourage them? Like Is there a moment where you were challenged by individuals doing the program, like you're too young or you don't have enough experience to be in the advanced route?
I personally in school, I didn't encounter anybody that
Mhm.
had those remarks, but I've seen a lot of remarks like that on social media. People say you need X amount of years to go to school. Some people, I've seen things that range from 2 to they feel you need 10 years. My advice would be if you in your heart know that that's what you want to do and you want to do it for a good reason and with good reason, and if you feel that you're prepared yourself, then go for it. I felt like I was prepared. I felt like I was in a good position in my life. I know that I'm a good student and that I would be able to, master the material that I needed in school. So I went for it. I mean, people are always going to have something to say. So
Yes.
if you want to do it and you feel like you've learned enough as a nurse in the hospital at bedside or whatever you're doing, then go for it. And I mean, you're still able to work as a nurse while you're in school, because by the time I got graduated, I have 4 years of experience. So I felt like that
Yes.
was good for me. I think it's just a personal thing. If you are somebody that wants to have 10 years of, experience before you go back to nurse practitioner school, then go for it. If you feel more comfortable with, 2, 3 years, then go for it. Just as long as you feel comfortable within.
Thank you for that thought-provoking statement, because what I'm hearing you say is it's personal.
Mhm.
Don't let anyone tell you when it's the right time and when it's not the right time, because only you know what it is that you want to do.
Mhm.
I used to get asked or told that I would be a great nurse practitioner.
Mhm.
But I knew in my heart that I didn't want to take the nurse practitioner route as an
Mhm.
advanced provider. Not saying I couldn't do it, but it just wasn't a passion,
Right.
because what I found is that I love teaching. I love learning, and I
Mhm.
love passing what I've learned to the next person. Like I really want to pass the baton. I just want to teach people or
Mhm.
share the knowledge. And I love to learn because learning is reciprocal,
Mhm.
right? Even when we were in clinicals, I'm not here to say I know more than you, but together let's learn what we need to learn for the patient to provide safe patient care. But thank you for sharing that. I Sometimes we get used to what we've always heard, if I'm
Mhm.
saying that correct. Like when you hear people on social media say that, then it's like, oh, that is what it is. When really, just like telling people that you should go to med surg coming out of nursing school. Like
Mhm.
we have to get away from saying that, because there's enough room for individuals who personally believe and know in their hearts that they want to work in critical care. They want to work in the ED, because those are some of the two main, high acuity type levels or units. And
Mhm.
so that's why I wanted to make sure I asked that, to hear your thoughts, so that someone who is interested in going straight into an advanced nursing role, that, hey, if you know in your mind that this is what you want to do and you believe that you have the ability to master the knowledge and to do it, go for it. Don't let people who have not gotten their advanced degree tell you what you should or should not do personally.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, that was good, Chayce.
Thank you. I see that all the time on social media.
Yeah, yeah,
People
and
saying that. I do agree. I don't think anybody should jump straight out of school and go, but it just depends. It's a personal preference.
yeah, and experience. If you
Mhm.
can get the experience and you have a good support system, especially when it
Mhm.
comes to other nurses, other advanced providers, that's like,
Mhm.
here, they're passing the baton, then go for it. Go for
Mhm.
it. I know some people that get discouraged from getting their degrees because they hear people say, oh, it's hard to get a preceptor.
Mhm.
And then I tell them, I said, well, you can only bet on you and your relationship with advanced providers. And so if you are a person who you have created positive relationships, and you may have someone who's willing to say, hey, come along with me. So don't hinder yourself when God has already provided the opportunity
I agree.
because of what others say. the negative part of it.
Right.
See, so getting into geriatric nursing, what is there something specifically that made you choose to go start serving geriatric patients?
So, honestly, this is another thing where it's like not the path I chose, but I'm so happy it happened. Everybody knows, well, for most people, it is difficult to get a job fresh out of nurse practitioner school. A lot of jobs, they prefer to have somebody with experience, and then you're left with the situation like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get a job if I can't get experience? Like, it's a long journey. You get a lot of no's before you get yeses. I applied for a lot of jobs. I did get a job offer, but I decided to not go that route. And then I got a job offer in geriatrics. And I was like, I kind of had to sit on it and think about it because it originally wasn't what I planned at first. It wasn't where I saw myself. But I was like, I mean, I want to work. I want to try it. Off the top of my head, this isn't what I originally planned, but who's to say this, I won't end up liking this, because I have a motto, you never know until you really try. So I gave it a chance, and I love it. I love the patient population. I never expected that I would, but I really do love it. They're such a unique population, and I feel like they don't get enough care that they deserve. Is usually overlooked. So I'm happy to be there and to try to be a light.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's like it just worked out.
Right.
It sounds like it just worked out. And when we're talking about the elderly, are we still specifically talking about 65 and older? Is that predominantly
So
the
that's predominantly what I have.
okay?
Since I work in like a SNF facility, your long-term patients are majority gonna be 65 and older, but I
Okay.
do occasionally have younger patients that are there just strictly for rehab.
Okay. So
Yes.
getting right into patient perspective,
Mm-hmm.
can you share because I know, like you said, and this just from coming from bedside,
Mm-hmm.
older patients will call you out.
Yes. All the
They will
time.
call you out.
All the
So
time.
can you share a memorable moment or patient interaction that reflects your approach to care?
A comical one or a good one?
Give me one of each. Can we just give one
Okay.
of each?
So comical one just happened this past week. So
Lord.
I have been in the gym lately, getting married later this year. So trying to, really tone up and everything. And I guess they noticed it. I've gotten several comments about my weight, being called a toothpick. Somebody told me I was going to blow away in the wind. I was describing somebody that works at my job to a patient because he needed to ask her something. And he was like describing her build. And then I was like, she's bigger than me. She's not a huge lady, but she's a little bigger than me. He goes, everybody's bigger than me. And I just can't do anything but laugh. I'm like, you're older. I'm glad you still have a sense of humor. I will take it. I will laugh, and I will give you your flowers because y'all are funny.
Yes.
So there's a comical one, and then a serious one that kind of touches my heart. Your patients. Sometimes you'll have patients that'll give you cards, or in the hospital, people will give you snacks, whatever, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But the moments that always stick with me are like when somebody acknowledges the care that I'm providing to them. I had a patient that I was sitting down with him talking because I know if it's going to be like a longer visit and I want to sit down and explain, I feel like you can develop a better connection with a patient if you actually like sit down and talk to them rather than standing over them while they're laying in their bed and it just kind of looks
Wow.
like you're looking down on them. So, yeah, so sitting down, talking to him, I just got in his labs back, going over his medicines, just being really thorough, going over everything with him. And then he just stopped me and he looked at me and goes, "You really care about me." And that
Oh,
just kind of stuck with me. It made me melt because it's just like, yes, I do. And I know I care about all of them, but it's like
mm-hmm.
when they acknowledge it and they feel that somebody cares about them and the person that's managing their care is going to do right by them, it just gives you comfort.
Yes. See, that's why I
Yes.
interviewed you. I knew that you were passionate and
Yes.
compassionate about what you're doing and just doing right by others.
Yes.
This is that getting back to the human side of healthcare. That is not
Mhm.
just a job,
No.
even though you're doing the job well. Like the goal is to do the job well. But
Mhm.
when people are a part of the job because we're
Mhm.
taking care of patients, it's that making that connection of them, not just what you're prescribing, the care plan for them, but how does the patient actually feel?
Mhm.
And to know that he feels like he's being taken care of, it just speaks volumes.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, are there what are some misconceptions? Are there any misconceptions about geriatric nursing that you like to debunk?
I feel like a lot of people would say that geriatric nursing could possibly be a little bit easier because people are at the end of their life or whatever. But I would say it's actually very complicated because you have patients, usually the older that they get, the more diseases that they'll have. So more comorbidities, and they've been to this doctor, they've been to this doctor, they've been here, they've been there. So you have higher chances of polypharmacy. You have cognitive deficits. You have a lot of them sometimes may have family issues, unrealistic expectations. So you have to talk about goals of life and make sure everybody's on the same page. So it's just a lot of moving parts with it, especially working in an inpatient facility. So I would say just a misconception is that it might be a little bit easier than it is.
That's good. Now, I have this question for you, like a little bonus question
Mhm.
is if you could create a dream healthcare system from scratch, unlimited funding, no policies or laws restricting what's needed, what's the first thing you change to make life better for elders and underserved communities?
The first thing that I would do for everybody is give everybody equal access to healthcare.
Mm,
Everybody deserves healthcare. Some people, a baby can't help that they were born to, in a poverty stricken area, and now they're unable to have good health care and unable to go to the doctors that they need. So that breaks my heart when people don't have access to health care that they need just because of where they were born, who they are, who's raising them. So that would be the first thing, just making sure that everybody could get access to healthcare, be able to go to the doctors that they need, the specialists that they need. And then just providing more access as far as more providers that are willing to work in those areas.
mhm.
Not everybody wants to work in underdeserved communities, and making sure that the people that are willing to work in those communities are trained properly because with dealing with minorities, you have to focus on certain things. There's certain medicines that aren't as effective, and language that they will understand better. So just overall being able to care for them
That's
better.
good. That's good. So you will have equal access
Mm-hmm.
and for providers to want to serve in those areas as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And I think even with insurance, Lord forbid, but even if you do have the insurance, and this is just for individuals in general, like insurance now dictate what they will and will not pay for. And so that even more, that complicates access to treatment or healthcare even more. Thank you for sharing. That was very engaging. So, diving right into your role as an advanced nurse practitioner with the focus on the geriatric population, how do you stay up to date with evidence based practice and how you provide care?
I am, I guess, a younger person. I like my phone. So to kind of stay engaged while still being on my phone, I've downloaded a lot of apps.
Okay.
Or even on social media, I'll follow pages that are, about healthcare.
Okay.
So I'll get little notifications all the time, even on Twitter. about new news, new information. So I can just be scrolling on my phone and then I'll get that. And then I click on that and now I'm diving into something that's going to benefit me as a provider. And
That's
it
good.
doesn't seem as, as forced as sitting down, having to open up a book. It's just scrolling. I could be on the treadmill at the gym, just scrolling, looking at new evidence-based practice things, best case scenarios for patients, all of that. So it makes it a little bit more informal, but I'm still engaged.
That's good. And it's more relevant.
Yes.
Yes. And then whatever credible source that you're looking at is going to take you further into the source that it got its sources from.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's awesome that you do that. And that's a wonderful thing about tech as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I've recently joined Twitter as, for All One Nurse to really get the brand out there. And I'm not promoting Twitter by all means, but there's a lot of good information about nursing, about just healthcare, like the body. Like, I guess it depends on what you're following and what it shows me. But there are some good resources on Twitter. I
There
just want to
are.
put that out there.
There are. And what I like about Twitter is you can go into the search bar and just type in one word, and then it'll just show you everything that's recent that's been going on.
So Chayce, just jumping back into going back to patients, what strategies have been effective in advocating for better healthcare access in underserved communities? Like, in what ways do you feel like you're able to advocate at the long-term care facility? Am I saying it right? Or skilled nursing facility, correction. In what ways have you found yourself advocating for your
Just
clients?
using my voice, as their provider, one of the main ones that's managing their care, when I see something that needs to be done, speaking up about it, whether that be, calling their family and making sure their family's on board so they can also push for them, whether that, or, calling insurance companies for PAs or calling pharmacy, just using my voice and making sure I'm heard for them because of course they're only gonna be able to fight for themselves so much. So I make sure that I can push their concerns out there. And if I have any concerns, push them out there also.
That's awesome. Do you feel like you collaborate really well? Like, so in the hospital setting, we have these interdisciplinary teams. Do you have all those resources at the skilled
Yes.
nursing facility?
Yes. It moves a little bit slower than it does in the hospital, but I still do. Like, we have social workers, we have a pharmacy team that I talk to frequently, different specialties. We have like wound care, physiatry. So just making sure you have to be able to pick up the phone, and talk to people. Like, if I have a question, I'm going to call somebody, or if I notice an issue, picking up the phone. So yes, I communicate with people on a daily basis.
Now, what advice would you have for nursing students or new nurses, especially when it comes to taking care of patients? Like, what's your take when it comes to taking care of patients? Like you said, that moment where you're sitting there and you're explaining everything in detail, not standing over the patient, but sitting with them. What advice would you have for new nurses and nursing students?
Just remember the reason why you went to nursing school in the first place. I know some days are long and hard and you're stressed, but there was something that I heard when I was a newer nurse that always stuck with me. And it was, for you, it might just be a normal day at work, but for somebody else, it might be the worst day of their life. So how would you want to treat somebody how would you want to be treated if you were in this situation? Or if your family member was in this situation, like, would you want a nurse that's coming in that's comforting and warm and welcoming and explaining everything, or would you not want that? So just be the person that you should be and that you would want to encounter if you were in the same situation.
Thank you so much. So is there anything that you have coming up next, like in your career?
I don't know. am trying to figure out the one of the reasons why I went the family nurse practitioner route is because of the like wide range of things that you can do. I like geriatrics, but I'm still early in my career, so I don't know if eventually I want to switch and try something else. There's always the possibility of like getting a postmaster's certificate, or if I wanted to get my doctorate, I could do that also. But that's what I tell people. That's one of the main reasons why I love nursing, because there is so many different things that you could do. I know a lot of people, you can teach, like you said, some people like teaching. There's just so much that you can do. And I'm in the process of trying to figure out like my next 5-year plan,
Yes.
sitting down, trying to establish what I want to do, because I'm really big on plans. And once I develop a plan, just kind of going for it and sticking to it.
That's awesome. And then you're also adaptable. When you first started out, you thought you wanted to do L&D, and then here we are,
Mm-hmm.
and it ended up working out, and now you're doing advanced nurse practitioner,
Yeah.
certified family nurse practitioner,
Yeah.
right now specializing with geriatric clients, which is awesome. And so your journey is to be continued, and I
Yeah.
love that. I love that because you want to plan, write your vision, and make it plain,
Mm-hmm.
because when you write it out, you're more likely to achieve it.
I agree.
So I pray God covers everything that you go forth and do, Chayce.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. Now, how can listeners connect with you?
So I am trying to grow my TikTok.
Okay.
I post a lot of nursing content on there. My page is, I would say, probably like 80% nursing content. My ad is my first name and then Alexa, Alexa.
And I'll also list the details of your TikTok below in the
Okay.
descriptions.
Okay. And I want to, not right now, because I have a lot going on, but like next year, possibly mentor somebody, because I know a lot of people like breaking into nursing, especially like first generation students, because I know a lot of people want to go into nursing, but they don't necessarily have, somebody that they can call and ask what the best route to go about it is. So I'm looking forward to possibly doing that also in the future.
Yes. Well, here we are. You're on All
Yes.
One Nurse, so
Yes.
I will have to share it with you, but you can definitely join my All One Nurse community, which is a
Mm-hmm.
private community on Facebook. Is for new nurses and nursing students, where they will be more likely to engage, as well as we can post resources for them and just really continue that conversation and let them know that they are not alone, because
Mm-hmm.
mentorship is a big thing. We've been there. And we're here to help pass the baton, right? Just pass that baton. And more to come on mentorship program by All One Nurse. And so I'll definitely be in contact with you if you're willing to jump on board with that, because I'm so looking forward to just pouring into our next generation of nurses.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard out there sometimes, and people
Yeah.
just need somebody to get even just little encouragement from.
Yes. Yes. And you don't have to accept the negativity. I told some new grads recently, they were genuinely excited. And some of my asked, "Are you excited?" And they was like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, don't lose that genuine excitement, that genuine joy of starting your nursing career, because we've seen it where you go on the unit and they're like, 'Why are you so happy?' Just,
Right.
just wait. Why do
Or
I?
ill students, stuff like that.
So it's like, why do my happiness have to diminish because I became a nurse? Like,
Right.
no.
Right.
No, let me still find joy in my role as I'm learning. Yes, I'm anxious if I'm new, but as I'm learning, I shouldn't get meaner. I shouldn't become more upset, overworked, because that's what you're experiencing. No, let me find ways to stay balanced. Let me find ways to honestly take a break, set healthy boundaries, and show up the best version of me with a good attitude, right? To help take care of patients so that what's overflowing from my cup is for everyone else. I don't have to run on empty, but I'm not going to preach. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let you go, Chayce. I'm going to let you go. But yes, but I thank you so much
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much. Is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners?
Just if you are in the process of wanting to be a nurse or a nurse practitioner or whatever you want to do, like I said earlier, do it for yourself. Just put your head down. The journey is not going to be easy, but you have to always keep in mind the end goal. Do it for yourself, do it for your family, do it for whoever you're doing it for. And if you put the work in, you will have a successful outcome.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing the inspiration. Okay. Well, Chayce, I think that's a wrap. And that's a wrap for the very first episode of season 3, All One Nurse podcast with the incredible Chayce Foster as she talks about her nursing journey and taking care of the geriatric community, and her heart for mentorship and advocacy shines so brightly. So I really appreciate Chayce. And one thing that she reminds us of is that sometimes the best way to lead is simply to be available. Now, over at All One Nurse, we're also stepping into a season of impact. No longer surviving, but we are thriving. I have officially started the 10-week nursing mentorship, which is designed for new nurses with less than a year and a half of experience and nursing students, of course. And it's faith filled, practical, and it's built to walk alongside you. We'll be uncovering topics like time management, effective communication, and so much more. And don't forget to grab your free resources on Linktree, where the form to sign up for the 10-week mentorship program is also located, and an email is required for sign up. But on Linktree, I have some free resources that includes scripture-based affirmations and tips and strategies for NCLEX style questions, which is like a guide, right? And yes, I've also curated some Amazon finds to make your clinicals and shifts smoother. Look for the links below for all things All One Nurse and how to connect with Chayce on TikTok. Next up, we'll hear from Rachelle Dumas, founder of A Light After 9. And after enduring 9 pregnancy losses, Rachelle turned her pain into purpose, creating a nonprofit that supports families navigating pregnancy loss, infertility, and maternal health challenges. And her story is raw, redemptive, and rooted in healing. Until next time, keep showing up with grace, grit, and God. Remember, you're not just becoming a nurse, you're becoming a light. So let your light shine. Bye.